Project schedule. A project schedule is a document that outlines the tasks, activities, and deliverables of a project, as well as the start and end dates for each. It is a critical tool for project managers, as it helps to ensure that projects are completed on time, within budget, and to the required quality standards. A well-crafted project schedule will include the following elements: project scope, a clear and concise definition of the project's goals, objectives, and deliverables. Work breakdown structure, WBS. A hierarchical decomposition of the project into smaller, more manageable tasks. Task dependencies. A list of the tasks that must be completed in order, as well as the relationships between them. Estimated task durations. The amount of time it is expected to take to complete each task. Start and end dates. The dates by which each task must be completed in order to meet the project deadline. Resource requirements. The people, equipment, and materials that will be needed to complete the project. Risks. Any potential events that could impact the project schedule. Project schedules can be created using a variety of tools, including project management software, spreadsheets, and even simple whiteboards. The most important thing is to choose a tool that is easy to use and that will allow you to easily track changes to the schedule as the project progresses. Once you have created your project schedule, it is important to communicate it to all stakeholders. This will help to ensure that everyone is on the same page and that there are no surprises down the road. It is also important to regularly review and update the schedule as the project progresses. This will help to ensure that the project remains on track and that any potential risks are identified and mitigated early on. A well-crafted project schedule is an essential tool for project managers. It can help to ensure that projects are completed on time, within budget, and to the required quality standards. Here are some additional tips for creating and managing project schedules. Start by defining the project scope. What are the goals of the project? What are the deliverables? Once you have a clear understanding of the scope, you can begin to break down the project into smaller, more manageable tasks. Use a work breakdown structure, WBS. A WBS is a hierarchical decomposition of the project into smaller tasks. This will help you to identify all of the tasks that need to be completed and to estimate the duration of each task. Identify task dependencies. Some tasks must be completed before others. For example, you cannot build a house until you have a foundation. Identifying task dependencies will help you to create a realistic schedule. Estimate task durations. How long will it take to complete each task? Be realistic when estimating task durations. If you underestimate the time it will take to complete a task, you may run into problems down the road. Set start and end dates. When will each task start and end? The start and end dates for each task will depend on the task dependencies and the estimated task durations. Identify resource requirements. What people, equipment, and materials will be needed to complete the project? Identifying resource requirements will help you to create a realistic budget. Identify risks. What potential events could impact the project schedule? Identifying risks will help you to develop contingency plans. Communicate the schedule to stakeholders. Everyone who is involved in the project should have a copy of the schedule. This will help to ensure that everyone is on the same page and that there are no surprises down the road. Regularly review and update the schedule. As the project progresses, you may need to update the schedule. This is normal. The important thing is to keep the schedule up to date so that everyone is aware of any changes. Project scope. A clear and concise definition of the project's goals, objectives, and deliverables. Project goals. The project goals are the overall objectives of the project. They should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, SMART. Project objectives. The project objectives are the specific steps that need to be taken in order to achieve the project goals. They should be clear, concise, and realistic. Project deliverables. The project deliverables are the tangible products or services that will be produced by the project. They should be specific, measurable, and verifiable. The project scope is important because it helps to ensure that the project stays on track and that everyone involved in the project is on the same page. It also helps to prevent scope creep, which is when the project scope expands beyond what was originally agreed upon. Here are some tips for defining the project scope. Start by brainstorming a list of all of the project goals and objectives. Once you have a list of goals and objectives, prioritize them. For each goal or objective, identify the specific steps that need to be taken in order to achieve it. For each step, identify the deliverables that will be produced. Once you have identified the goals, objectives, steps, and deliverables, put them all together in a document that can be shared with everyone involved in the project. The project scope statement should be a living document that is updated as the project progresses. This will help to ensure that the project scope is always aligned with the project goals and objectives. Here are some additional tips for managing the project scope. Regularly review the project scope statement to make sure that it is still accurate. Communicate any changes to the project scope to all stakeholders. Be prepared to negotiate with stakeholders if there are any changes to the project scope that they are not happy with. Real-life experiences where a clear and concise definition of the project scope was essential to success. Building a new website. When building a new website, it is important to have a clear understanding of the project goals and objectives. This will help to ensure that the website is designed and developed to meet the needs of the users. For example, if the goal of the website is to increase sales, then the website should be designed to be easy to use and navigate. And it should prominently feature the products or services that the company is selling. Launching a new product. When launching a new product, it is important to have a clear understanding of the target market and the product's features and benefits. This will help to ensure that the product is marketed and sold in a way that reaches the target market and that highlights the product's unique selling points. For example, if the target market for a new product is young professionals, then the product should be marketed through channels that young professionals are likely to use, such as social media and online advertising. Implementing a new software system. When implementing a new software system, it is important to have a clear understanding of the system's features and functionality, as well as the business processes that will be affected by the system. This will help to ensure that the system is implemented in a way that meets the needs of the business and that minimizes disruption to the business operations. For example, if the new software system is a customer relationship management (CRM) system, then the project team will need to understand how the CRM system will be used to manage customer interactions, such as sales, support, and marketing. In each of these examples, a clear and concise definition of the project scope was essential to success. By understanding the project goals and objectives, the project team was able to make informed decisions about the project design, development, and implementation. This helped to ensure that the project met the needs of the stakeholders and that it was completed on time and within budget. Here are some additional tips for defining the project scope. Involve all stakeholders. The project scope should be defined in collaboration with all stakeholders. This will help to ensure that the scope is comprehensive and that it meets the needs of all stakeholders. Be specific. The project scope should be as specific as possible. This will help to avoid any misunderstandings about what is included in the project. Be flexible. The project scope may need to be modified as the project progresses. This is why it is important to have a process in place for managing changes to the scope. Work Breakdown Structure, WBS. Work Breakdown Structure, WBS. A hierarchical decomposition of the project into smaller, more manageable tasks. A work breakdown structure, WBS, is a hierarchical decomposition of a project into smaller, more manageable tasks. It is a critical project management tool that helps to define the scope of work, identify all of the tasks required to complete the project, and estimate the time and resources needed to complete each task. A WBS is typically created by the project manager, with input from the project team. The first step is to identify the major deliverables of the project. These are the tangible products or services that the project will produce. Once the major deliverables have been identified, they can be broken down into smaller, more manageable tasks. The WBS should be as detailed as possible, but it should not be so detailed that it becomes difficult to manage. The level of detail will vary depending on the size and complexity of the project. For a small project, a WBS may only need to be 2 or 3 levels deep. For a large project, the WBS may need to be 5 or 6 levels deep. Once the WBS is complete, it can be used to estimate the time and resources needed to complete the project. The time estimate is based on the duration of each task, and the resource estimate is based on the number of people and equipment that will be needed to complete each task. The WBS is a valuable tool for project management. It helps to ensure that the project is well defined, that all of the tasks are identified, and that the time and resources needed to complete the project are estimated accurately. Here are some of the benefits of using a WBS. Improved communication. A WBS helps to improve communication between the project manager and the project team. It provides a common understanding of the project scope and the tasks that need to be completed. Enhanced planning. A WBS helps to improve planning by identifying all of the tasks that need to be completed and estimating the time and resources needed to complete each task. Improved control. A WBS helps to improve control by providing a way to track progress and identify potential problems. Increased efficiency. A WBS can help to increase efficiency by identifying tasks that can be completed in parallel and by identifying tasks that can be outsourced. If you are working on a project, I encourage you to create a WBS. It is a valuable tool that can help you to improve the success of your project. Real-life experiences for work breakdown structure, WBS. WBS was used to chuck down a project into smaller, more manageable tasks. Building a house. A WBS can be used to break down the construction of a house into smaller tasks, such as site preparation, foundation, framing, roofing, siding, windows and doors, interior finishes, landscaping. By breaking down the project into smaller tasks, it becomes easier to track progress, identify potential problems, and make changes as needed. Developing a new software product. A WBS can be used to break down the development of a new software product into smaller tasks, such as requirements gathering, design, development, testing, deployment. By breaking down the project into smaller tasks, it becomes easier to estimate the cost and time required to complete the project, and to identify and resolve potential problems. Planning a company picnic. A WBS can be used to break down the planning of a company picnic into smaller tasks, such as choosing a date and location, sending out invitations, ordering food and drinks, arranging for entertainment, cleaning up afterwards. By breaking down the project into smaller tasks, it becomes easier to coordinate the efforts of everyone involved, and to ensure that the picnic runs smoothly. In all of these cases, the use of a WBS helped to ensure that the project was completed on time, within budget, and to the required quality standards. Here are some additional benefits of using a WBS. Improved communication and collaboration. Increased visibility and transparency. Enhanced risk management. Improved decision making. Increased efficiency and productivity. Reduced costs. Improved quality. Task dependencies. Task dependencies are the relationships between tasks that determine the order in which they must be completed. There are 4 types of task dependencies. Finish to start, FS. This is the most common type of dependency. A task cannot start until its predecessor task is finished. Start to start, SS. A task cannot start until its predecessor task has started. Finish to finish, FF. A task cannot finish until its predecessor task has finished. Start to finish, SF. A task cannot finish until its predecessor task has started. Task dependencies can be represented in a variety of ways, including Gantt charts. Gantt charts are a visual representation of a project schedule. They show the tasks that need to be completed, as well as the start and finish dates for each task. Network diagrams. Network diagrams are a more detailed representation of task dependencies. They show the tasks that need to be completed, as well as the relationships between them. Task dependencies are important for a number of reasons. They can help to identify potential bottlenecks. Bottlenecks are tasks that can delay the entire project. By identifying potential bottlenecks, project managers can take steps to mitigate their impact. Estimate the time and cost of the project. The duration of a project is determined by the longest path through the network diagram. The cost of a project is determined by the resources required to complete each task. Manage risk. By understanding the relationships between tasks, project managers can identify and manage risks that could impact the project. Task dependencies are an essential part of project management. By understanding task dependencies, project managers can improve the chances of success for their projects. Here are some additional tips for managing task dependencies. Identify all of the tasks that need to be completed. Determine the relationships between the tasks. Create a project schedule that reflects the task dependencies. Monitor the project schedule and make adjustments as needed. Communicate the task dependencies to the project team. Task dependencies. Examples. Here are 3 real-life experiences where task dependencies were used to manage a project. Building a house. When building a house, there are many tasks that need to be completed in a specific order. For example, the foundation cannot be poured until the land has been cleared and the site has been prepared. The framing cannot be started until the foundation has cured. The roofing cannot be installed until the framing is complete. And so on. By understanding the task dependencies, the builder can ensure that the house is built in a timely and efficient manner. Developing a software product. When developing a software product, there are also many tasks that need to be completed in a specific order. For example, the requirements cannot be gathered until the stakeholders have been identified. The design cannot be created until the requirements have been gathered. The development cannot start until the design has been completed. The testing cannot start until the development is complete. And so on. By understanding the task dependencies, the software development team can ensure that the product is developed in a timely and efficient manner. Planning a company picnic. Even planning a company picnic requires task dependencies. For example, the date and location cannot be chosen until the number of people attending has been estimated. The food and drinks cannot be ordered until the menu has been decided. The entertainment cannot be arranged until the date and location have been confirmed. And so on. By understanding the task dependencies, the company picnic planning committee can ensure that the picnic is planned and executed smoothly. In all of these cases, task dependencies are used to ensure that the project is completed in a timely and efficient manner. By understanding the relationships between tasks, project managers can identify and mitigate risks, and make adjustments to the project schedule as needed. Here are some additional tips for managing task dependencies. Use a project management tool. A project management tool can help you to track task dependencies and identify potential problems. Communicate with your team. It is important to communicate with your team about task dependencies so that everyone is on the same page. Be flexible. Things don't always go according to plan. So it is important to be flexible and willing to make adjustments to the project schedule as needed. By following these tips, you can effectively manage task dependencies and improve the chances of success for your projects. Estimated task durations. Estimated task durations are the amount of time it is expected to take to complete each task in a project. They are an important part of project planning, as they help to determine the overall project timeline and budget. There are a number of factors that can affect the estimated task duration, including the complexity of the task, the availability of resources, the level of expertise of the team members, the presence of any risks or challenges. When estimating task durations, it is important to be as realistic as possible. Overestimating the duration of tasks can lead to delays and budget overruns, while underestimating the duration can lead to missed deadlines and quality problems. There are a number of techniques that can be used to estimate task durations, including historical data. This involves looking at the time it took to complete similar tasks in the past. Expert judgment. This involves asking experts in the field to estimate the duration of the task. Bottom-up estimating. This involves breaking down the task into smaller, more manageable tasks and estimating the duration of each. Once the estimated task durations have been determined, they can be used to create a project timeline. The project timeline is a graphical representation of the project schedule, and it helps to ensure that all of the tasks are completed on time. Estimated task durations are an essential part of project planning. By taking the time to carefully estimate the duration of each task, you can help to ensure that your project is completed on time and within budget. Here are some additional tips for estimating task durations. Break down tasks into smaller, more manageable units. This will make it easier to estimate the duration of each task. Consider the complexity of each task. Some tasks are more complex than others, and they will therefore take longer to complete. Be realistic about the availability of resources. If you don't have enough resources, you may need to adjust your estimates. Factor in any risks or challenges that could impact the duration of the task. Get input from team members. They may have insights that you don't have. Review your estimates regularly. As you get more information about the project, you may need to adjust your estimates. Estimated task durations examples. Building a website. The estimated task duration for building a website can vary depending on the complexity of the website. A simple website with a few pages and no custom features can be built in a few days or weeks. A more complex website with custom features and a lot of content can take several months to build. Writing a book. The estimated task duration for writing a book can also vary depending on the length of the book and the author's experience. A short book can be written in a few months, while a longer book can take several years to write. Planning a wedding. The estimated task duration for planning a wedding can vary depending on the size and complexity of the wedding. A small wedding with a few guests can be planned in a few months, while a large wedding with many guests can take several years to plan. In each of these cases, the estimated task duration is just that, an estimate. The actual duration of the task may be longer or shorter than the estimate, depending on a number of factors, such as unexpected delays, changes in requirements, or unforeseen challenges. It is important to be realistic when estimating task durations. If you underestimate the duration of a task, you may not have enough time to complete it, which could lead to missed deadlines or poor quality. If you overestimate the duration of a task, you may waste time and resources. The best way to estimate task durations is to break the project down into smaller, more manageable tasks. Then, estimate the duration of each task individually. Once you have estimated the duration of each task, you can add them up to get the total duration of the project. It is also important to factor in some buffer time when estimating task durations. This will help to account for unexpected delays or changes in requirements. By following these tips, you can improve your accuracy when estimating task durations. This will help you to plan your projects more effectively and avoid surprises down the road. Start and end dates are the dates by which each task must be completed in order to meet the project deadline. They are an important part of project planning, as they help to ensure that the project is completed on time. There are a number of factors that can affect the start and end dates of tasks, including the complexity of the task, the availability of resources, the level of expertise of the team members, the presence of any risks or challenges. When setting start and end dates, it is important to be as realistic as possible. Overestimating the dates can lead to delays and budget overruns, while underestimating the dates can lead to missed deadlines and quality problems. There are a number of techniques that can be used to set start and end dates, including historical data. This involves looking at the dates that similar tasks were completed in the past. Expert judgment. This involves asking experts in the field to estimate the dates that the task will be completed. Bottom-up scheduling. This involves breaking down the task into smaller, more manageable tasks and estimating the dates that each task will be completed. Once the start and end dates have been determined, they can be used to create a project timeline. The project timeline is a graphical representation of the project schedule, and it helps to ensure that all of the tasks are completed on time. Start and end dates are an essential part of project planning. By taking the time to carefully set start and end dates for each task, you can help to ensure that your project is completed on time and within budget. Here are some additional tips for setting start and end dates. Break down tasks into smaller, more manageable units. This will make it easier to set start and end dates for each task. Consider the complexity of each task. Some tasks are more complex than others, and they will therefore take longer to complete. Be realistic about the availability of resources. If you don't have enough resources, you may need to adjust your dates. Factor in any risks or challenges that could impact the duration of the task. Get input from team members. They may have insights that you don't have. Review your dates regularly. As you get more information about the project, you may need to adjust your dates. Start and end dates examples. Here is an example of a real-life experience of start and end dates. Launching a new product. When launching a new product, the start and end dates are typically determined by the product manager and the marketing team. The product manager will need to determine how long it will take to develop the product, while the marketing team will need to determine how long it will take to market the product. The start and end dates will also be affected by the availability of resources, such as engineers, designers, and marketers. In this example, the start and end dates are important because they help to ensure that the product is launched on time. If the product is not launched on time, it may miss out on potential sales opportunities. Additionally, if the product is launched too late, it may be outdated or may not be able to compete with other products that have already been launched. Here are some tips for setting start and end dates for launching a new product. Break down the project into smaller, more manageable tasks. Estimate the time it will take to complete each task. Add some buffer time to account for unexpected delays. Communicate the start and end dates to all stakeholders. Track progress and make adjustments as needed. A construction company is building a new house. The project manager creates a project plan with start and end dates for each task, such as excavating the foundation, framing the house, and installing the roof. This helps to ensure that the house is built on time and within budget. A software company is developing a new product. The project manager creates a project plan with start and end dates for each task, such as designing the product, writing the code, and testing the product. This helps to ensure that the product is developed on time and meets the company's requirements. A marketing company is launching a new advertising campaign. The project manager creates a project plan with start and end dates for each task, such as creating the advertising materials, placing the ads, and tracking the results. This helps to ensure that the advertising campaign is launched on time and achieves the company's goals. Here is another example of how start and end dates can be used in project management. A company is planning to host a trade show. The project manager creates a project plan with start and end dates for each task, such as selecting the trade show venue, booking the exhibit space, and designing the booth. This helps to ensure that the trade show is a success and that the company's booth is well received by attendees. By setting start and end dates for each task, project managers can help to ensure that projects are completed on time and within budget. This can help to improve the company's bottom line and make it more competitive in the marketplace. Here are some additional tips for setting start and end dates. Be realistic about the amount of time each task will take. Allow for unexpected delays. Communicate the start and end dates to all project stakeholders. Track progress and make adjustments to the schedule as needed. Resource requirements. Resource requirements are the people, equipment, and materials that will be needed to complete a project. They are identified during the planning phase of a project and are used to create a project budget and schedule. People resources include the project team members, as well as any other personnel who will be needed to complete the project, such as contractors, consultants, and vendors. Equipment resources include any tools, machinery, or other equipment that will be needed to complete the project. Materials resources include any raw materials, supplies, or other materials that will be needed to complete the project. Resource requirements are important for several reasons. First, they help to ensure that the project has the resources it needs to be successful. Second, they help to identify any potential risks to the project, such as a shortage of resources or a delay in the delivery of resources. Third, they help to create a realistic project budget and schedule. Resource requirements are typically documented in a project plan. The project plan should include a list of all the resources that will be needed, the quantity of each resource, and the time period when each resource will be needed. The project plan should also include a plan for acquiring and managing the resources. Managing resource requirements can be a challenge, but it is essential for the success of any project. By carefully identifying and managing resource requirements, project managers can help to ensure that their projects are completed on time, on budget, and to the required quality standards. Here are some tips for managing resource requirements. Identify all the resources that will be needed. This includes people, equipment, and materials. Estimate the quantity of each resource that will be needed. This will help you to create a realistic project budget and schedule. Identify the time period when each resource will be needed. This will help you to plan for the acquisition and management of resources. Develop a plan for acquiring and managing resources. This plan should include a process for identifying and selecting resources, a process for acquiring resources, and a process for managing resources. Monitor resource usage and make adjustments as needed. As the project progresses, you will need to monitor resource usage and make adjustments to your plan as needed. This may involve acquiring additional resources, releasing resources that are no longer needed, or reallocating resources to different tasks. Examples of resource requirements. People. The project will need a team of people with the necessary skills and experience to complete the work. This may include engineers, designers, architects, construction workers, and others. Equipment. The project will need to acquire or rent the necessary equipment to complete the work. This may include tools, machinery, vehicles, and other items. Materials. The project will need to purchase or acquire the necessary materials to complete the work. This may include building materials, supplies, and other items. In addition to these three main types of resources, there are other resources that may be needed for a project, such as money. The project will need to have a budget to cover the costs of the resources it needs. Time. The project will need to have a timeline for completion. Space. The project may need to have access to a particular location or space to complete the work. The project manager is responsible for identifying and acquiring the resources needed for the project. This includes developing a resource plan, which is a document that identifies the types and quantities of resources needed, as well as the timeline for acquiring them. The project manager also needs to manage the resources throughout the project to ensure that they are used efficiently and effectively. By carefully planning and managing the resources needed for a project, the project manager can help to ensure that the project is completed on time, within budget, and to the required quality standards. Here are some additional tips for managing resource requirements. Be proactive. Don't wait until the last minute to start identifying and acquiring resources. Start the process early in the project planning process. Be flexible. Things don't always go according to plan, so be prepared to adjust your resource requirements as needed. Communicate with stakeholders. Keep stakeholders informed of your resource requirements and any changes to them. Use project management software. Project management software can help you to track your resource requirements and ensure that they are being used efficiently. Risks. A risk is any potential event that could have a negative impact on a project. Risks can impact the project schedule in a number of ways, including delaying the start of the project. This can happen for a variety of reasons, such as unavailability of resources, such as people, equipment, or materials, regulatory or environmental approvals not being obtained in a timely manner, changes in the scope of the project, extending the duration of the project. This can happen for a variety of reasons, such as unexpected problems or challenges encountered during the project, changes in the project schedule or budget, unavailability of resources, requiring additional resources. This can happen for a variety of reasons, such as the project is more complex than originally anticipated, unexpected problems or challenges encountered during the project, changes in the project schedule or budget. It is important to identify and assess risks early in the project life cycle. This will help you to develop mitigation strategies to minimize the impact of risks on the project schedule. Some common mitigation strategies include contingency planning. This involves developing a plan for how to respond to unexpected events or challenges. Risk transfer. This involves transferring the risk to another party, such as an insurance company. Risk avoidance. This involves taking steps to eliminate or reduce the likelihood of a risk occurring. Risk acceptance. This involves accepting the risk and its potential consequences. By identifying and assessing risks and developing mitigation strategies, you can help to ensure that your project stays on schedule. Here are some additional tips for managing project risks. Communicate risks to stakeholders. It is important to keep stakeholders informed of risks so that they can be prepared for potential delays or changes to the project schedule. Monitor risks closely. As the project progresses, it is important to monitor risks closely to ensure that they are not impacting the project schedule. Update the risk register regularly. The risk register is a document that tracks risks and their associated mitigation strategies. It is important to update the risk register regularly to reflect changes in the project. Be flexible. Things don't always go according to plan, so it is important to be flexible and adaptable when managing risks. Examples of risks. Unavailability of resources. This can happen for a variety of reasons, such as employees taking sick leave or vacation, equipment breaking down, materials not being delivered on time, unexpected problems or challenges. This can happen for a variety of reasons, such as changes in the law or regulations, changes in the market, natural disasters, changes in the project scope. This can happen for a variety of reasons, such as new requirements being added to the project, changes in the customer's priorities, changes in the project's budget. These are just a few examples of risks that could impact the project schedule. It is important to identify and assess risks early in the project life cycle so that you can develop mitigation strategies to minimize their impact. Here are some tips for managing risks. Identify and assess risks. The first step is to identify and assess the risks that could impact your project. This will help you to prioritize risks and develop mitigation strategies. Develop mitigation strategies. Once you have identified and assessed the risks, you need to develop mitigation strategies. Mitigation strategies are actions that you can take to reduce the likelihood or impact of a risk. Communicate risks to stakeholders. It is important to communicate risks to stakeholders so that they are aware of the potential impact on the project. Monitor risks closely. It is important to monitor risks closely throughout the project life cycle. This will help you to identify and address risks early on. Be flexible. Things don't always go according to plan, so it is important to be flexible and adaptable when managing risks.